Welcome to Two Dogs Games. This is our Kickstarter launch live stream. The Kickstarter has actually gone live right now. This is the link right down here. So anytime you get a chance, if you can back us, that'd be great. If you can share this link with your friends, any way you can help spread the word will really help us out. So thank you so much for believing in us and helping us to get this far. We've got an awesome lineup of guests, haven't we?
So many people. It's fantastic.
Oh, we've got Andre from Heroes World Comic Shop. We've got some amazing veterans from Spartan Wellness. We've got Dr. B coming from Take This.
Yeah.
We've got Average Joe coming from Project Guardian.
It's just amazing.
It's just a lineup, huge lineup, so stick with us and you'll see some amazing people and we'll see how it all comes together.
We will. And, again, thanks everybody for supporting us and getting us to this point. And, we love technology.
Yeah. It's been a fun morning trying to get this all working. There's so many streams coming in and we've got all the people Skyping in and everything. But yeah, it's really come together, so sounds great.
All right, so here we are. So as it stands right now, we don't know it's Raptors Day, so...
Oh no! Okay, well, as you can see, come on in here, Sam. As you can see, we've got a Raptor from Toronto in the studio. And could you imagine? Who would have thought that there are Raptors in Toronto?
We couldn't have this Kickstarter happen if we didn't respect our Raptors, so go Raptors!
It's not like there's anything happening with Raptors tonight, is there?
Well, at the end of the day, the whole city is around it. I don't even know how people are going to travel around town with all road closures and so forth.
Is this the first game of the finals tonight?
I believe it is.
Awesome.
Yes, it is.
Listen, go Raptors, awesome. You guys are fantastic, and I know that a lot of you guys really support mental health in the same way we're trying to raise awareness with this video game. So fantastic. Thank you so much. Get your head down in here. That Raptor head is awesome. There we go. That's awesome. That's our Sam, our community manager, doing some in the Raptor suit. So anytime you're talking on the chat, that's going to be Sam. So he's doing the Twitch. Is it Twitch that he's moderating? So yeah, join on the Twitch channel and you'll be able to join the chat with Sam, our resident Raptor. So thank you so much, Sam. Thanks. Awesome. So why don't we sort of dive in? We got a first guest here. You want to? You about ready? Come on in. This is Devin Larrett. Devin Larrett with Spartan Wellness, and we'll get you plugged up here.
Back. Get in the show. Here we go.
Come on, jump in and we'll...
What's up, man?
Oh, man, how are you doing?
Good,
if you can't tell from the size of this gentleman, he's huge. This is World Arm Wrestling Champion, Devin Larrett.
Here, I get to hang out with you guys today.
Awesome. So, obviously, you're doing some pretty cool stuff with your workout routines and things now, aren't you? Some innovative tricks.
I am full-time gripping and ripping.
Okay.
That's my job.
Working on always working on arm wrestling is the strength build-up.
That's what I do with my life now, really. Among other things, but yeah, my goal is to win arm wrestling competitions all around the world.
And you're doing a darn good job of it, for sure. Now, it's no secret that a large part of your game is mental focus, is the mental side of the arm wrestling. How do you prepare? What sort of things do you do to sort of get that focus at peak level?
Well, I feel like the most important thing to achieving any goal is to really define it, right? So the first thing that I'm always doing is I'm constantly looking at, evaluating, and maintaining my goal. So it's really crystal clear in my mind. And then once I have it, I do everything in my power just to temper that and shape it. So whether it's visualization, whether it's just repetition of all the basic skills, just working on the discipline that you need to get out of bed.
Absolutely.
Right. But it's a lot about focus. It's a lot about taking all the information you have and putting it together to make the best results.
Fantastic. And you were at an event we saw, was it in Australia, where you actually met the great Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, wow, what a dream come true of mine. Like I was 5 years old reading Pump and Iron, and here I am, 44, hanging out with a guy who probably gave me that spark at the beginning of my life to kind of set me on a path.
And what's he like to hang out with? Is he as fun as he looks?
You can tell that even at 70-some years old, Arnold is still incredibly healthy. He's strong, as proven just a couple days ago in South Africa there, where he got this double.
Yeah.
Looked like a fly bouncing off of a rhino there. I feel like just to have made eye contact with Arnold was enough to, to me, that was really all I want. I feel like I know Arnold. I don't need to spend. I just have that connection with him. To me, is it was a big thing in my life. I wanted to have that.
Awesome. And you're still trying to do that your own way, give back to your own community. You've got a lot of followers who kind of look up to you now, like the way you do to Arnold. How does that responsibility sit?
We're all one thing, right? Nobody accomplishes anything great by themselves, and together we all push each other and pull each other, and we all get to where we're going. So I recognized very early in my career that giving back is of a very, very high importance in anybody's life. If you keep everything for yourself, it's not really the human experience. The human experience is we're one thing, and we're all going to the same destination.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and thank you so much for being part of our journey as well. I mean, you guys have been fantastic, giving us feedback and giving us insight into what life as a combat soldier was like, but also the consequences afterwards. The sort of things you've had to deal with, and arm wrestling has really helped you as an outlet, hasn't it, to sort of deal with some of your previous stresses.
Yeah, and anything that brings people together and gives you a healthy outlet, I think is a really good way to spend energy. It's always positive. But you guys are really onto something here with the way you're approaching it. Like when you talk about performance and you talk about achieving a goal, when you talk about teamwork and military stuff, I think in the past, when I used to play video games, I never used to think about that kind of thing. But having done a career, you know that when a soldier's goals or sense of mission or sense of cohesiveness with their team starts to fall apart, then it doesn't matter how good a shot they are or how smart they are or any of their capabilities. If this starts to fall apart, the whole team falls apart. So I think that you guys introducing this into the kind of reality that everybody's going to understand, because a lot of kids are going to play this game, and it's just going to be accepted as normal, the way it should be. So I think you guys are taking a great step forward for all of us.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. And tell me a little bit about Spartan Wellness. What does it mean to you? What has it meant in your life to have had those guys, that community there for you?
Spartan Wellness is really about healing. I think really that's the thing that we really focus on. We focus on our veterans who are in that transition process, and it's a very difficult. People, when they're in the military, they give everything. They give everything they have, every bit of their being to accomplish something. Whatever they were before they joined the Army, they kind of that kind of gets reborn again. But when you join the Army, you become the mission. You become, this is your purpose. And when guys leave, a lot of people lose their sense of purpose a little bit. And when you start to have those things, there's health issues. And at Spartan, we really try and get people back on track, finding their purpose, fixing all the issues and stresses that they may have accumulated over a 20-year career or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, so that they can go back and live really great lives in the bigger world.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Is there anything, if there was one thing you could say that would, if civilian people could do or be aware of that would help with that transition process, is there anything you'd like people to know more about?
I think that we're in a really good place of understanding these days, but just look at a lot of people who were in the military for an extended period of time. Really, we didn't do it for the money. We didn't do it for most guys who joined the military did it because, and girls, sorry, did it because of some deeper quest that they felt associated with, and a lot of it, like as a Canadian, you're doing it to better your country. So when you look at working with these people or employing these people, you have to think like, why do they want to work with me, or why do they want to work with us, and use that as your motivation, when considering, like, if there's a good purpose, a good cause, I think that attracts veterans a lot. Like, if somebody has a good cause, I think that you'll see veterans follow them a lot.
Well, listen, we're glad to have you
Like
guys
you!
on board. Well, hey,
Right.
it's way too humbling to have you guys.
You're great. You guys are great.
You're just absolutely incredible group of gentlemen. We'll be talking to more Spartan Wellness throughout the day here as we throughout the stream as we go along. But thank you so much. So glad to have you on board. And look at that gun. There it is.
You want a shot?
We got
You want some of this?
Oh, I couldn't even move that if I tried. Oh man, what a fantastic to have you on board and to have you sit and chat with us. So thanks so much, John.
Thanks so much, guys. Good luck with the project, and can't wait to get online.
Yeah, we'll get there soon. All right, thank you very much. All right, we'll get Dave back in here. And how are we doing for time? When's our next guest calling in?
We got Dr. B at
12:15. So we're just gonna check our timing here. Oh, perfect. So we're doing all right. So
Awesome. That was amazing.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Maybe we should mic up another.
Sure, we could definitely do that.
Who wants to come on next? Any of you guys want to jump on board? JC will do it the tail of the show. Andrew, Riyadh, Karam, one of you guys?
We've got 15 minutes before that.
Yeah.
Okay. So while we're doing that, again, thank you everybody for joining us
And
online.
a reminder, this is the Kickstarter live stream. The link is right here. Yeah.
And I think we already have some pledges already started.
They're starting to tick over, so thank you so
fantastic.
much for
Thank
believing
you.
in us, everybody. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. This is definitely just like the game, just like the Spartan Wellness guys are saying. This is a team effort. We need everybody to help out and work together. And we're really trying to do something different here, something special.
And I think that, for anybody who's had a chance to look at some of the information that we have online and the different videos and from the different shows and so forth that had a chance to talk with us, I think that, they have an idea of what the game is, but again, the big part is the community. And again, kind of how Spartan Wellness approaches it, the community and working together. We want to make sure the game does that as well. So, I think that through this live stream and through the Kickstarter and all the great support that we've had at the different conventions and whatnot, it's really showing that even within ourselves, we're building our own community. And it's growing, every single day. We've got different groups that are reaching out to you to do interviews and, have you traveling all over the place like a crazy person.
No, it's been the response has been great. I mean, we're trying to create a healthier online gaming experience. We're really trying to, change the way that free to play is viewed. We're making sure that there's none of the pay to win, none of the loot boxes or gambling mechanics or any of that kind of thing, and that it's not a game. That we're designing the game in a way that doesn't force you to play it on the game schedule, but allows you to fit it into your life. We've got great social mechanics. It is all about team and bringing people together. So we're making sure that, if you're playing at different levels of intensity and stuff like that, you can still play together throughout the game. One person's playing once a week, the other person's playing 7 days a week. You'll still be able to stay together and do quests together and be relevant to each other.
And again, that's important for the community build as well, because, some people simply have more time to play the games and some people don't have as much time. But, for the sake of the community to stay together, you still have to feel that you're contributing. One person that plays a lot more, one person that may not play as much. When they come together in the game, they can still feel like they're contributing. So it keeps that teamwork and that working together and keeping things moving forward for the entire support ship, making sure that the different missions are getting done. Everybody can contribute and add their own 2 cents, and more importantly, we've got the big community capabilities on the ship itself too. So if you're on for a little bit or you're on for a lot, it's all there for you.
And there's lots of little ways to chip in, short-term things. I mean, the recovery process is very social. It's all about, using that community to support each other and to help heal your wounded characters, help them recover, that kind of thing. And even just by popping in, you can contribute to that process and be part of that. So absolutely.
And even from the technology side as well. I mean, we've got, like many games, we've got armor, we've got weapons, we've got mecha, like a lot of other games, but again, we're taking it to the next step. These things can get damaged, just like people can get wounded, and the tech mechanic mirrors that as well, where people will submit their devices for fixing, and people that like to fix and maybe like behind the scenes
crafting,
and the crafting kind of stuff, they can contribute in that way as well. And again, it's all to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves.
It's
working together.
and it really gives everybody a chance to play to their strengths, doesn't it? So whatever is your strength, whatever is the part that you're most excited about, you're going to be able to contribute in that fashion and have that unique role on the team and be part of something special. It takes everybody. No more games where the newbies are getting killed by rabbits on one side of the map and the end gamers are beating up dragons on the other. We want everybody to be playing together in the same universe and sharing that experience.
That's right. So I think we're ready.
Okay, well, yeah, we got another Spartan veteran's going to jump in here and talk to us and just check out the time. Oh, we've got plenty of time. We're good. So, Andrew, good to have you on board. Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, again, we talked a little bit with Devin there about what Spartan has done for him. And talk to us a little bit about your experiences with Spartan and what they meant for you.
Well, I was one of the co-founders of Spartan. We founded it in 2017. There was myself and 8 other vets. We decided basically there was a number of ways that we were actually able to give back to the community and help out our brothers and sisters that have gone through similar stuff. Nobody else really knows other than another vet.
For sure.
Definitely a lot of people are similar mindset, but nobody can really pull somebody out of that hole. So we designed a series of programs, hand-tailored our crew. Employing veterans now, prescribed by a veteran, educated by a veteran. We're going into transitional medicine. Some other things just to help out the veteran community.
Fantastic. And we talked to Devin about how that social interaction and the physical side of things really helps to combine to sort of help with that recovery process.
Yeah.
You guys are getting involved in all sorts of things. I know Riyadh was saying you've got a golf tournament you guys are getting involved in coming up.
Yeah, I'm not personally a golfer. I'll let Riyadh talk on that a little bit more.
I don't know that Riyadh's a golfer either. That depends on your perspective, doesn't it?
He goes to the course, which is more than I do. So, it's not something I got into. We tend to leave that for the officers in Riyadh. Yes, we've got a lot of different programs coming up. A lot of what we do is about getting veterans out of the house and around other veterans. Like, we can't spend the rest of our lives living amongst other veterans. Like Devin said, there's a whole big world out here.
Yeah.
A lot of other things we can do after service, and there's a lot of interesting people to meet, and, discover new hobbies and things like that. So if we can get more vets and more patients out to actually go golf, if you want to get up in the morning and go for a run, get up and go for a run. You don't have to stop that just because you got up in the morning.
Yeah, sure.
There's some fun things you can still do. A lot of people they go to the range, they go hiking, they stay fit, they play soccer, they play baseball.
Is there something that you feel that if us as civilians knew we could help better in that process?
Not really. I find there's a lot of support so far, especially the North American public. Anyway, I've always found that when people find out that you're a veteran, they're generally inquisitive. And it's not generally like, oh, did you guys go over there and kill people? Was it hot and sandy? They're actually legitimately inquisitive about, some of our experiences, the culture of some of the countries we're moving to. Right. If we were actually able to help or not.
Yeah.
It's been really good so far. I haven't had any negative experiences.
Awesome.
To go back on what Devin was saying about hiring veterans, if you're going to find a good cause to work behind, a lot of vets have issues just going to an office every day, filling out proverbial TPS reports for 9.5 hours. They have to see a meaning at the end of what they're doing.
For sure.
So if they can find that and they can move forward with a good solid team behind them that actually has a vision and a real purpose,
yeah,
you're going to find a lot of veterans tagging along with that.
Awesome. Oh, and Spartan seems to be just such a great group. I mean, the guys that you're bringing in, they just almost instantly click, don't they?
It is, yeah. It's a huge team and it's growing, and we seem to be attracting some of the coolest, most capable vets we can find in the country, which is awesome. We've got people from coast to coast, even in other countries now. They're just wanting to help out other. And they've got the knowledge to do it. They've come back from some dark places and actually have solid foundation building blocks that they can use to help others.
Fantastic.
So it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, we're so excited to have you guys as part of our team. So thank you so much for coming down.
Love doing with the game. It's a good program.
Well, we're so excited to sort of see how the public reacts to it. So it's getting real.
Yeah,
we're getting closer. Obviously, we had our big demos at PAX East where you guys were able to get hands-on with the game for the first time, and that was awesome. and now we've we're launching our Kickstarter, and we're moving forward, hoping to get our beta out at PAX East next year in 2020. So, but there'll be lots of opportunities, and that's one of the great things about the Kickstarter. Lots of opportunities to get early access, get our hands on the prototypes, try stuff out, get access to the alpha and beta phases of the game, and yeah, it's going to be fun to watch it come together. So thanks for being part of the team.
Look forward to playing it.
Awesome,
See you
great,
soon.
thank you. So we'll just check that time. We've got another guest. Our next guest calling in 6 minutes is Dr. B. So I think we're all good to go there. We'll just hang fire. But hey, welcome Dave back.
Thank you.
And yeah, so tell us a little about your own role on the team and what
Sure.
you've been working on.
So I'm the game mechanics designer, one of many. We have various team meetings to talk about the game and the vision of the game. What are the things that we'd like to see and whatnot. And my role is primarily to help make the mechanics around it. So, we all have weapons, we all have armor. And so part of what I do is I help massage the numbers so that we can have a progression of the skills and a progression of the attacks. So all the little flashy numbers that come up on the screen and whatnot, that's part of what I balance to make sure that we don't have one weapon that's overpowering over another. Make sure that certain skill combination isn't overwhelming. So therefore, people may focus on just taking those types of skill paths. Try to make sure that all the different tools and elements within the game are balanced and are equally interesting. And as well, our core modes. So, we've talked about the boss type battle which many people have played at the convention, and so they've gotten a feeling for what it's like, at least in that demo environment, to see what the boss combat would be like with 4 teams, 4 people on each team,
Yep.
sort of working together and coordinating. And as I promised, I said that if you don't coordinate your activities, you're not going to do very well against that boss. And some people saw that at PAX.
Well, that was one of the most exciting things about that, was to watch groups that went through the first time. They played as individuals and they got their behinds handed to them. But then they played it again and they worked as a team and they went and they kicked the boss's butt. And it was really good to see the difference that working together made, that coordinating their attacks and helping each other out, and for the healer to keep the tanks alive while they were attracting the attention so the DPS could hit them in the back. I mean, it was such a neat interleave of the different tactics they had to sort of organize amongst themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was really effective.
And they wouldn't have been able to do it, if one team wasn't represented or whatnot. It would be a real challenge to try to defeat the boss.
That did happen a few times. We had one team that was maybe weaker than the others, and you saw the effect of that. It really took everybody working together in order to achieve that success.
Absolutely, and not just with that part as well, that we had the ability to actually play them together, but we also had that overlay of the team members communicating and barking between themselves, so that it sort of triggered into the Insight Engine portion of it, where some of the people have different stories and different elements that people who played the Insight portion would have gotten the full breadth of what that communication was about. So when one character is concerned about the area of effects, or one person is concerned about the healing and so forth, when you played the Insight Engine portion of it, then you would see what that actually means. The game is really large and it's got all these different pieces that overlay over one another. So sometimes it could be a bit of a challenge to show everything within one particular demo.
For sure.
But we have got PAX West coming down with the next release.
Yep.
Incorporating a lot of the feedback that we got from PAX East and from the different interviews that you've done, and from the Nordic Games that you had attended.
Yeah.
So we're constantly collecting this information from our sources and our play testers and our community, and we're incorporating them as best that we can and getting them into the next release, so that the game is getting grown and builds on the community's suggestions.
Yeah,
not
for
just
sure. No,
us in a box.
It's definitely a collaborative process. I'm just watching our tech guys scurrying over here. Is everything okay with our sound?
We're just using this microphone right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
That's
hear
fine.
you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Good.
All right, good.
They're scaring us a bit. Don't forget, the link is down here somewhere. I can't even see the monitor anymore, so. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Link is right here. So yeah, this is our Kickstarter live stream. We just launched our Kickstarter for those of you who are maybe just tuning in right now. So this is the Kickstarter for Destiny's Sword. It's a strategy combat MMOR RPG, and what we're going to do that's really different is, instead of focusing on the stats and the abilities, we're managing the psychology and mental health of our crew.
That's
as we
right.
Go throughout the combat.
And that's an important thing to remember as well, that there's a lot of things that are going to come out of this, and there's various pages that are talking about what we're doing and so forth. But mental health is the total picture. There's positives and there's negatives. And what we're working on is the big picture. We're trying to normalize and make the communication open to show people that these are things that are out there. Maybe they can relate to them, and let's have a conversation about it. Have it in the game, have it in our webpage and our Facebook sites or Twitch or whatever media suits you best. But we're here to help the community, and the game is representative of that.
Absolutely, and it's really about normalizing the fact that we all suffer with mental health issues to some degree, and that it's perfectly okay to have that. It's not a sign of weakness to sort of deal with those issues, and then really to encourage people to reach out. That reaching out is absolutely the most important thing, that we need to lean on our support network,
That's
our
right.
friends, our family, our community, and be there for each other, because it really is only together that we get stronger.
Absolutely, absolutely. So do we still have?
I think we're good. We'll just check our timing here. So we're at 12:30, so we should be getting
should,
Dr.
get
B
it?
in
I
fairly
think
soon.
the phone call is coming. No, not yet.
So we're getting tweets in from
Welcome
our
to
community
live.
saying, I don't think it's using your lapel mics, and yeah, unfortunately, our audio guys are trying to figure that out, but
We'll get there. Well,
as long as you can hear us, that's the main thing.
welcome to the live stream.
I would like to take a second and just thank our hosts at mmorpg.com
Absolutely.
who are helping us stream this live stream. So thank you so much to them. I think we are going to be actually talking to them some more tomorrow, but stay tuned for an announcement on that. But yeah, so thank you so much. Again, like everything, it's really about the teamwork and helping everybody else. So we're just going to do a 5-minute break here. We'll fix the audio, and hopefully we'll be back with Dr. B from Take This. He's our clinical psychology consultant.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll be back and talk to him. All right, talk soon.
Awesome. Great.
All right, welcome back, guys. We're being joined by Dr. B. That's a picture of Andre there. He's going to be on later in the show. We'll get Dr. B on here. There we go. We got Dr. B. Fantastic. That is Dr. B.
That is Dr. B.
So welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us. Dr. B is doing some consulting for us. He's a mental health expert talking to us about mental health for Destiny's Sword. But tell us a little bit about yourself and particularly about Take This, who are an incredible organization that you're the clinical director of.
Yes, okay, so a little bit about myself. I was born at a very young age, and I came into this world with an existential crisis. I don't know. I am the clinical director of an organization called Take This, which was the first mental health nonprofit in the game industry. And our whole mission can be summarized informally as making it okay to not be okay. Mental health challenges are considerably more common worldwide than we realize. And the stigma is significant enough that we don't talk about it, and we want to make it okay to talk about, and also educate people on what mental health challenges really are and what they aren't. And in that capacity, that's where we've been brought on board to talk with y'all about Destiny's Sword.
Fantastic. No, I mean, what a great group. And I mean, you started off with a games-based focus, didn't you, looking at the games industry, but you're so much more than that now.
Well, me personally, or Take This?
Well, Take This, yeah.
Well, I mean, we still have an industry focus because it's our community. You know, we're gamers to the core. Every single one of us. Even our CEO, our executive director, Eve Crevichet, who, she may not be a hardcore gamer herself, but her whole family is, and
Yes.
so she has been in that, in game circles for a very long time. I've been playing, tabletop role-playing games and video games for as pretty much as long as I can remember. One of my biggest nerd claims to fame is that I've still got a copy of Nintendo Power, the first 60 issues.
Oh, fantastic.
So, I mean, this is our community. So our focus has never really changed. It's just expanded in terms of what we do.
Great. And I mean, obviously games is, you mentioned it's a really big part of your background, but you're actually finding that it's a great tool for communication, and you use that in your own personal practice, don't you?
Well, okay, so I have, because of my involvement with Take This has expanded so much, I don't actually have a personal practice anymore because it's tough to work with clients when you're gone like 2 or 3 weeks a month. But I teach clinicians how to use games therapeutically, like tabletop role-playing games. We talk about the applied use of video games. I consult with a lot of different colleagues on the exact same thing. So that's what I do in, my time away from Take This.
Awesome. And what do you think it is about games that makes them such a good tool for helping in those processes?
Well, it's just the fact that people are already invested. 30% of the change that happens in a therapeutic relationship is due to the relationship. And 15% has to do with client expectations of the outcome. And if you've got people already invested in something and they want to engage in that, why not just meet them where they are and use that as best you can to help them with the change that they want to see? Why start from ground zero and try and socialize them to a process that they may or may not be invested in? I mean, I can't tell you the number of people throughout the course of my training and in working with people that came in more or less anxious about what therapy was going to be like, that they thought it was going to be dry and boring and I was going to be some old dude with a white beard just asking them about their mother. But
you mean you don't do that?
Not unless they really want me to,
That there's no couch anymore?
I mean, I have a couch. It's quite comfortable. I'm usually the one sitting on it. It's a really comfy couch. I don't want to give that. That's my seat. But yeah, I mean, so that's the benefit of games, to meet people where they are, where they're already invested.
For sure. And I mean, I guess we've been talking with our veterans here about how important, community and social interaction is to the recovery process. Do you find that yourself as well?
Oh, absolutely. Inclusion in community, feeling like you belong, feeling like you're not ostracized, that's actually a big strength in any sort of mental health process and mental wellness. It is a big resilience factor. So anything that you can do to find community and support and inclusion, that's amazing. And, games are a great way to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And tell us a little bit more about what you guys are looking forward to with Take This. Have you got any exciting shows you're going to? And I know PAX East, you did how many panels?
Oh God, PAX East. I can't even remember. I lost count of how many
It's
panels
like 9 or
I had.
11 or something crazy.
Not 11. I think I had 7 panels
it
at
was a
PAX
lot.
East. 7 official panels. I don't even remember. I have been limited to 5 from that point onward.
So what's on the horizon? What are you looking forward to next?
Well, we're going to be at E3, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We're bringing the AFK room back to E3, and
Awesome.
we were going to actually have a booth in the West Hall at E3. That's going to be a first. So we're going to be able to talk about a lot of cool stuff there. Our streaming ambassador program is open for applications again, and we are going to be soon releasing a monumental state of the industry for mental health white paper that I think is going to be pretty revelatory for a lot of the practices of the game industry.
That sounds so good. Where will people be able to find out about that? Through the Take This website?
Oh, of course. And, people should absolutely follow us on Twitter at TakeThisOrg. Follow us on Facebook at the same, TakeThisOrg. And we're going to have all of our updates on both of those sites. Awesome.
Fantastic. No, that sounds like some really exciting stuff to be coming forward. So, you guys are doing such a great job. Is there anything else that, if people want to get involved? I know that you guys have volunteers to help at these shows and things like that. What are other good ways people can get involved, and how do they get in touch with you to do that?
Well, same thing. We post all of our updates, our calls for volunteers on both Facebook and Twitter. So you can follow us both on both places at TakeThisOrg.
Perfect. Well, yeah, awesome. Well, listen, we're so glad to have you as part of the team, and you're really helping us, to make sure we do this right, because that's been a concern of ours, obviously, is to not contribute to stigma and stereotype, but to really try to sort of create something that gives people positive awareness, gives them good communication strategies that will help support each other. They're supporting their characters in the game, but hopefully that same sort of strategies will be useful if they need to support a friend or a family member and things like that. So we can't say enough about how great a part you're playing in this process.
Well, and I have to say that I have been real thrilled with some of the questions you all have been asking along the way, and the care and consideration with which you've been approaching this. As you all know, one of the things that we care about at Take This is the representation, and often very poor representation, of mental health challenges within games. You've heard my colleague, Dr. Kelly Dunlap, talk about the asylum trope, where you wake up in an asylum and do you ever expect anything good to happen? And no. Where, mental health and mental health challenges are considerably more varied and subtle than they're often portrayed, and also less dire than they're often portrayed, with 94% of people who suffer from mental health challenges, full diagnoses, they will live a full and happy life. It's only 6% that are truly, truly debilitated. And you all have been taking a lot of care and consideration in trying to compassionately represent the spectrum of mental health challenges.
For sure. And I think it's about making sure that we understand that we all sort of struggle with things from time to time, and it doesn't necessarily define us to struggle with those issues. It's just part of life that we have to deal with. Like Riyadh puts it well when he talks about it being just like any physical injury. It's something we have to deal with and recover from, but it doesn't define us. We're not the person with a broken arm or the person with a bad knee. We're human beings that are much more complex than simply the injuries that we're dealing with at any given time.
Right. It's one facet of who we are, and we are all comprised of a myriad of different facets. where I grew up is one part of that. The fact that I have autism is another part of that. But neither one of those things is an entirely defining trait of who I am, in the same respect that any one of your characters in the game that may or may not have PTSD, that is not the entirety of who that character is. And I really appreciate the care with which you've all been approaching that to make it a factor instead of the one-dimensional factor behind the characters.
Yeah, no, that's certainly something that's really important to us. But I think in general, in the industry, we're seeing, I think in general anyway, we're seeing better awareness of mental health. But in the industry, it's encouraging. More people are working on projects, a lot of them indie-led, but that are trying to address issues of mental health and portray it in a more positive light. So I think it's a good time, isn't it? It's a really, really exciting time to see these things coming together.
Well, sure. I mean, this is obviously an issue. Given that in the United States, 1 in 5 people will be diagnosed with a mental health diagnosis in a given year. That 1 in 4, in some cases, some research says 1 in 2 in the lifetime. This is a thing that people care about, and we're really happy to see that people are coming forward more and more, saying this is important and we need to change this and we want to help. That's awesome.
It is really good. Well, listen, thank you so much for being part of our team, and thanks for joining our call. We really appreciate that. And once again, this is our Kickstarter live stream, so the link to the Kickstarter is right here. And Dr. B, has told us all about the wonderful things Take This are doing. So again, follow them at takethis.org. Get involved in their convention staff help. And talk to Dr. B. About the sorts of ways that we can all work together to help each other get stronger, for sure.
Well, and that, yeah, I mean, I really couldn't have said it better than that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Well, thank you guys. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, we're going to go back to a stream for a second, back to the video for a second while we sort out the next bit of audio, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back live with the Destiny's Sword Kickstarter launch live stream. The link to the Kickstarter is right below here, so if you guys can back us, that's fantastic. If you can't back us, then please help us spread the word, because as an indie, getting the word out is definitely the most difficult part of the process for us. But we're back live with Scott Jones, and Scott is the host of the Heavily Pixelated podcast.
That's right. I've had a rich and varied career, and this is just the latest variation in my career, but it's the one that means the most to me. And it's also, this is the reason why I make the show that I make, because people, mental health issues, I don't think are addressed enough in our industry, and I feel like games still are, perceived as these sort of lower level entertainment experiences, and so I feel like you guys are really raising the bar. I'm a big fan of Destiny's Sword. I keep looking at your logo behind us, though, and I was like, what's wrong with this woman? Like, did she have an accident in her pants? She seems really pensive and distraught.
She's definitely conflicted, and in fact, our author, who's going to be on in a little bit, MD Cooper, is just in the process of writing the backstory, and that's one of the Kickstarter backer goals. If we get to a certain number of backers, I believe it's 1,000 backers, we're going to release that story to
to the community. That's
So then we'll learn exactly.
We'll learn exactly how she got to this point, what she's struggling
very
with.
troubled. Yeah.
She's definitely got some issues.
No, I'm making jokes, and I really don't know where the line is. So if I offend you or your game or your team, you got to tell me. I'm really, really excited about what you're building. I really, the little glimpses of it I've gotten so far, I'm really excited to hear the entire story and see the full scope and scale of what you're building.
Oh, fantastic. And that means a lot to us because you've been such an inspiration to us yourself, because the message of your podcast is all about how games have been positive influences in people's lives and how they've helped people heal, how they've changed people's direction when they were lost. Tell us a bit about some of the stories you've learned through that process.
Well, I mean, just generally speaking, I make the podcast here in Toronto, and I had the idea for the podcast a few years ago when, after a health scare in my life, I realized like the barrier between me and the great beyond is very thin. And so I wanted to make something that really counted. I wanted to say something, and games have meant so much to me over the course of my career that I had an idea to do a show that really articulated what games do for people. And I'm not a scientist. Maybe I'm like a sociologist or something. Sure. But I love stories, and I love personal stories. I love real stories. I love documentary kind of sort of stories and the way that they're put together. And so I started making the podcast, which is really just a celebration of gamers themselves. Instead of celebrating the game properly, we talk about the gamer. And so basically I have gamers on the show. Now gamers, the median age for gamers, they're getting older and older all the time. It's just a fact of life. I'm okay with it. Yeah. But we live through stuff. We go through stuff. We go through some difficult times. And every time something bad happened in my life, whether I got fired from a job, whether my girlfriend broke up with me, whatever it was, the first thing I do is go to the game store and buy a game. And I thought I was the only one who did that, but everybody does that. They do the same exact thing. How am I going to get through this time? How am I going to grieve this loss? I'm going to play a video game. And so I started talking to people about the games they use to get through specific difficult times in their lives. And so they come on the show. I had a guy on who he lives in Barrie, Ontario. He was a big fan of the TV show I used to host with Victor, right. Electric Playground, and he had cancer a few years ago, and he went through a series of difficult recovery from that, and he was playing Fallout, and so he came on the show. He talked about what he went through. I mean, this is the thing we also don't appreciate about gamers. They're incredibly articulate. Yes. They're some of the most introspective, most in touch with their own souls. I mean, gamers, the cliche, the two-dimensional cliche of the people that live in the basement. Yes. That doesn't really, I don't think that exists, and I don't think it's existed for a very long time. Sure. So he came on the show. He talked about Fallout, talked about his story, talked about the suffering, talked about what he went through with the stem cell replacements in his body, and like it was an amazing story. And then he talked about Fallout, and he just told this story so well, and I'm so proud of it. And then because I feel like I want to say thank you to people who make games. I create a moment of gratitude at the very end of every episode, where the guests on the show can thank the people who made the game that got them through that tough time. So I got him on the phone with Todd Howard from Bethesda. Awesome. And he got a chance to thank Todd. And so that's what I try to do, because I worked in the industry for so long. I try to give everybody a moment to thank game developers. Nobody says thank you to game developers. Yeah. I hope somebody says thank you for making Destiny Sword. Well, we gotta get it out there first, but yeah. We're certainly on the right track. No, I'm always looking for new stories. We're working on season 2 right now. Making these stories is very complicated. I work really hard to try to find the best stories for listeners, and we just do 10 episodes a year. But I think of all the things that I have made and been a part of in my life, this is the thing I'm most proud of. And I feel like you're going to be most proud of Destiny Sword. Oh, it's certainly, I mean, as we're talking about the common theme of all of this, and the common theme of ours developing the game is about the community aspect and bringing people together, whether it's our community of players, whether it's ourselves as developers, building a community around us to support and guide us.
And I think that to me is the most exciting part. That's the part I'm really proud of. We see, and as you said, not only do we have a stereotype of gamers, but we have stereotypes of games. There are a lot of people who have been talking about the negative aspects of games in the media, and rightly so. There are some aspects that we need to do better, for sure. But it's just so rewarding to see that there are lots of positive aspects and that they can have such a big influence on people as well.
Yeah, I think so. Like, honestly, I it sounds melodramatic to say this, but I don't know if I would be here if games weren't here.
Right.
Like, I mean, maybe I would have found something else. Maybe I would have been into sports more or something. But games really they've been the reason, my raison d'etre,
Yes.
as the sophisticates say, and I think that's absolutely true for a lot of people. We're glad that you're doing what you're doing. We're glad you're making games like Destiny's Sword, and there are people out there who need these things. And that's the thing, is like, I can't wait until 2 years from now when we hear the stories about how Destiny's Sword helped people understand themselves better, look into their own souls, and just really just fit into the world a little more easily than they did before they played it.
Well, that's a tall order, big shoes to fill, but that's what we're trying to do. For
I
sure.
believe in you.
Oh, well, and that's the biggest thing, really the support of the people who have believed in us, the support of you, the community, who are already donating tons on the Kickstarter. So thank you so much for backing us, and yeah, do follow the link. That's fantastic. We've just hit the $5,000 mark, so wow, thank you everybody. Already getting started. It's just mind-blowing what a great community there is around games and
Absolutely.
Around this team.
I feel like I just walked in here a minute ago, so I'm just going to talk about my first impressions.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's lots of people in this room. I feel like it's a little tight in here.
It's a little,
I feel like it's a little
closed.
tight. It's a little tight. I just want everybody to loosen up. I want other people. I feel like I had to be so quiet when I came in here.
Well, we are trying to sort of keep the background noise down because we're having technical difficulties, so we've got a big mic.
Oh, really? So you guys were louder before?
Oh, they're capable of making
I hope
a
you
noise
make a
over there,
comeback.
for sure. Now, listen, just coming back to your podcast, which
Yes.
as I say is so amazing and inspiring to me, and you're working on season 2, which
Yeah.
is awesome. Where can people find it? Where's the best place to go?
Everywhere. Stitcher, obviously Apple Podcasts, iTunes. It's everywhere. Like, Heavily Pixelated is the name of the show. There's a lot of syllables in the name of my podcast. I'm sorry about that, but I really love it. And the thing with the name is, I think sometimes pixels are used to obscure things. Like, if you get a streaker at the Raptors game,
Yeah.
you got to use you got to pixelate the stuff out you can't look at. But I think with video games, you can use pixels to get more clarity.
Okay.
And
nice.
so that this is really my show. The gist of my show is you get more clarity, get more of a comprehensive understanding of life by looking at the pixels.
Oh, awesome.
Deep, right, man?
That's incredibly deep. Well, listen, how are we doing time-wise? I just check here.
I love it. I could stay all day.
12:57. We got 3 minutes left.
Oh, wow.
So
What would you like to do?
We'll just spin for a few more seconds.
Okay.
But,
What's your next episode?
Yeah. What's the do you know what the next episode is about yet?
Well, I mean, what I've been doing for season
tell
2 is I can't really. I'm not going to talk about that. But I just found out that I'm going to be doing live episodes of the show at Fan Expo here in Toronto.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm going to do another one at EGLX.
Awesome.
I mean, it's not signed yet, so maybe I'm going to burn my bridge by saying it now, but I don't care. Whatever.
Listen, it's been such a motivation to us to see that podcast,
Yeah.
but I know, just across the board, it's something that really touches people. You wrote an amazingly powerful article recently in the Globe and Mail.
Yeah.
and
I'm working on another story for Globe and Mail for this Christmas. It's a Christmas. It's like
Christmas
weird.
deal.
It's not even summer yet, and I'm already working on editorial for Christmas. But I have lots of stories I want to tell, and I feel like that's really my goal at this point, is to help other people tell their stories, to tell my own stories, and to just try to help developers like you as much as I can.
And the stories you tell are so powerful and moving, and you tell them so eloquently. So, I mean, if there is somebody out there, we need to help this podcast get through the roof, because it's a special thing that we all need to listen to.
I think so. Yeah, I really hope we find an even bigger audience. The first season I was blown away, but the second season I would really like to tear the top off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't say enough about what you're doing. You're doing a great
You're the
job.
sweetest guy, honestly.
But seriously, it's so great to have you, involved with us, and the orbits that we're traveling in. We keep bumping into each other and having a great time, and really motivating each other. And I think that ultimately is what it's all about: people with a common goal coming together and helping each other to achieve their successes.
I am always on the Destiny Sword team. I will always be on the Destiny Sword team. So whatever you guys need, like, I'm always here.
And vice versa with Heavily Pixelated.
That's so
go
wonderful.
listen to it. Check it out on all the various podcast areas. And again, the Kickstarter link is right down here. So check it out. And,
Open that wallet.
Yeah. Oh,
Free that money.
Let's be part of something special together, and let's do this thing.
Yeah, what are you saving that money for anyway?
Well, your
This
Christmas
game
article.
deserves it. No, you don't need to buy my Christmas article. Just read it online. All the stuff I do is free. You can charge for your stuff. I have to give mine away.
Oh well, listen. That's the downside. We wish it was free. Free to play is unfortunately not free to make.
Yeah.
But as an indie, we're doing what we can to keep the cost down and make sure that we're open to being able to take some risks and do something to really push those boundaries. Try and talk about some of those stories that are so important for us to hear, for sure, that we don't get to hear in the mainstream. So thanks for being part of that conversation, and thanks for coming on board today.
Thank you, Ken.
Awesome. The incredible Scott. All right. Thank you so much. Check out Heavily Pixelated. All right. I think, are we going to go to another call? Are we going to...
Let's go to a video.
Let's go to a video for a second. We'll get our call queued up, and we'll be right back. I think it's our author, MD Cooper, who's coming online next. So we'll talk there in a second.
Then we can find out what's going on here.
All right, we're back. We're just going to set up some technical stuff here and get our author, MD Cooper, on board. For those that don't know, MD is the author of the Rika series of novels, which is how we found the books. But you actually there's over 70 books now in the Eon 14 series. Is that correct?
Number 81 just came out today.
81, and you're launching a book today, aren't you?
Yep, I am. Yeah, it's book number 10 in my Orion War series called Starfire.
Fantastic. And so, I mean, What is it like does the launch of a new book, is it still as exciting after 81? Does it get more exciting?
There's like some of the trepidation goes away. You know, when you're first starting out, you're like, oh my goodness, will people like it? Will it work? Will there be some sort of technical error? Because there are technical errors sometimes and whatnot. But once you get around to 81, most of that that stuff goes away, and you just really you really just want to make sure that you're delivering the right content to the reader. But I kind of figure at this point that if they're still reading me, then they like what I'm doing.
Well, I've got to say, I've read through the Rika series, and I'm just getting started. What's the one I'm starting on now? Outsystem is the start of which arc?
That's the Outsystem is the beginning of the Intrepid Saga series.
Okay, perfect. So I'm hooked in there now forever. I'm going to be reading these things till Kingdom Come. But
oh yeah, I could. So far, actually, you read a little bit faster than I write, so you might actually catch up at some point here. We'll see if I can keep you fed forever, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to take me a little while at 80 odd books there for sure. Now, actually, we just had Scott Jones on from the Heavily Pixelated podcast, and he was actually asking about the backdrop in behind me, which I said I wouldn't point to anything for you because you can't see our video, but obviously we've got Jada here in really fighting some demons, and you're writing the story that kind of leads into that, aren't you, for us at the moment?
Yeah, I am actually. The story basically ends with that scene, effectively, and it's about gives us a bit of a view into Jada, what she's struggling with, what she's doing, and also shows us a little bit about the greater conflict. You know, the Protectorate, why they're there, what they're up to, and then of course who they're struggling against, which is Securicorp at this point.
Awesome, and we've got that set up as a Kickstarter target. So if we reach 1,000 backers on Kickstarter, we're going to release that story to all the community that's backed us. So that's a real great incentive to get involved, and we want to see how did Jada get to this point for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you're going to be writing for us for Destiny's Sword, which is so exciting. One of the things that really drew our attention when I started reading the Rika novels was, of course, the way that you not only deal with the excitement and the tension of combat, but looking at what the characters think and feel both during and after the action. So talk to me a little bit about, what motivated you to sort of consider those factors and why that's important to you.
So Rika was a really interesting character. A lot of times when you have, as a writer, you have different characters. You have ones that you sort of struggle to write, ones that you have to really wrap your head around, understand who they are. Rika just sort of came into my mind one night. I realized I wanted to write a story about her, and she's like Athena. She just sort of just sprang fully formed from my mind. Me being Zeus, obviously, right? And and so I actually wrote the first 5,000 words of Rika Outcast in this frenzied pace. I did between midnight and 2 in the morning one night, which is about almost 2 chapters worth. I wrote just flat out until 2 in the morning, and I set it aside because I'm like, I don't know if I'll do anything with this. And I came back to it, and the whole story came out pretty quickly. But part of the impetus was a show called Killjoys. It's a show about bounty hunters in a place called the Quad. I really love the setting that they've created for Killjoys. If anyone hasn't watched it, I really recommend watching Killjoys. But they have this one woman who was missing an arm, and she had a gun instead of an arm. And one of the things they did is that they so often when you encounter like the mechanized warrior in a cyberized warrior in a movie or something like that, it's always like this big brutish person who wants it. They want to be the big grunt, and they laugh maniacally as they mow people down or something like that. Sure. And here we had this character in Killjoys that wasn't like that at all. She hated what was done to her, and they really humanized her character a lot, which I found was really fascinating. And I realized that very rarely is this ever done in science fiction. We never really see the things from that character's point of view. And I basically realized I want to tell a story from the point of view of one of these characters who was turned into a cyborg warrior against her will. And then on top of that, I wanted to make it so that not only did this happen to her, but her side lost. And now she's a veteran living in a nation that basically defeated her people. So she doesn't like her people that much because they forcibly cyborgized her, and she doesn't like the people that now won because she was fought against them for 7 years. So it really was taking a character that was at the bottom and showing how they could build themselves back up again.
And it's really neat because the progression of that story, it's like what we've been talking about here. At her lowest point, she was absolutely on her own, as you say, sort of an outcast from both worlds. And it's about as she builds community, builds connections, becomes part of a team again. That's when she really finds her strength again, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of it too is that she was open and willing to do it as well, and that was something I really wanted to show, that she she wasn't trying to hide and what's the word? Like, she wasn't trying to pull herself away from society. She really did want to make connections again. She just didn't know how. And luckily for her, or unluckily for her, depending on how you feel when you read the story, she got put in a situation where she had to make connections, and she had to. It was either that or she wouldn't survive at all. And it ended up working out really well for her, which is sort of a message that I like to have. I'm a very optimistic person. I believe that there's a good future waiting for people. You just have to go out and seize it. And I also believe that people will live up to the expectations we have. They'll also live down to the expectations we have. So I always try and have really high expectations for myself and for my characters, and write stories that manifest that.
Fantastic. And so for those that are just joining us right now, we're talking with M.D. Cooper, who's an incredible author, New York Times bestselling author of the whole Eon 14 universe. And we're actually doing our Kickstarter live stream for the launch of our Kickstarter campaign for Destiny's Sword. So the link is down here. So follow that through to the Kickstarter campaign. There's lots of information on the campaign about what Destiny's Sword is and about what we're trying to do. And absolutely anybody who can who sort of believes in what we're doing, please back us and help us share the link around, spread the word as much as possible. That's fantastic. So Michael, obviously you've done a lot of writing for books. You're prolific. It's amazing. But video games is a new thing. Are you finding any challenges or anything really different about the process?
Well, for me, I'm what's called a pantser, not a plotter. So I tell my story by just starting to tell the story, which is for me what I get to do as someone writing books is I get to sort of ease myself into it. I get to describe a setting, I get to describe a character, and I get to take my time doing it. I'm having to shift that in writing for a video game where I don't, that stuff is all being told visually on the screen, and I have to focus more just on the parts that the character interactions and maybe describing some of the settings so that anyone doing visuals can create it. But I don't get to spend quite as much time in people's heads as I do when I write a novel. So, and at first, and this is what the 1,000 backer goal is going to be, is I wrote the story out long form like I would normally write a story, and now I'm working on how would I convert that into more of a screenplay type of scenario, and that's what we're going to end up needing for Destiny's Sword. But I'm also looking forward to even getting to write like some little. I'm hopeful, provided that you guys want that, is I want to write some smaller stories about different characters,
yes.
So people can if they want to dive into it and learn more, kind of like we played Mass Effect. I'm one of the people that always go and like read all the stuff that you're constantly getting in Mass Effect, all those little backstories and exactly. Stuff at the Galactic Encyclopedia and whatnot. So I think that's going to be a ton of fun to write that stuff too.
There's so many threads and little arcs and things like that. You're absolutely right. That's kind of what makes the world so rich and deep, and that's certainly some of the things. One of the things that we've set up as a stretch goal, which we'll worry about that when we actually fund the campaign. But one of the things we want to do is get MD involved in writing backstory novels for the universe and telling so we can really dive deep into the story behind not just the game but the universe in which we play, and that's going to be so exciting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. I mean, I've obviously, if anyone's read my AN 14 books, they'll know that I love universe building. Before I started writing AN 14, I actually spent 2 years researching all the science and technology that I wanted to base around the universe. So I love doing it. I've got more star charts than any human should possibly ever have. And I could tell you how many parsecs and light years, all sorts of crazy things are away, which none of that really matters here. But I say that's because of how much I love world building and how much great world building we're going to get to do in Destiny's Sword. And because it's not a future for Earth. It's sort of just a separate universe. Sort of the sky is the limit for what we can do with this. We can come out and say here's how civilization was built and here's the rules that they have and how people behave and why they behave that way. And I love that sort of thing. It's a lot of fun to do that. And then not to belabor that in the story, but just to sort of create this rich background so that as you're playing the game and as you're reading anything, you're really going to feel like this all is happening for good reasons, and we know the reasons, but they're not what you're encountering right now. They're in the background. Kind of like with Lord of the Rings. You always, whenever you're reading Lord of the Rings, you're like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here that is just being touched on. But I know that the author understood the background and all the motivations for why everybody is the way they are.
Awesome. And for those who haven't seen it before, we did do a first edition promotional comic that we put out of some early story work that we did that has an AR back cover. We gave out actually 8,000 copies of that at the various shows that we were at, starting off. And that's something that we also want to do. It's another one of our stretch goals, is to provide more of those backstory comics where we can combine the amazing artwork of our concept artists with your incredibly rich storytelling, and really, as you say, pull on some of those threads and see where they go.
Yeah.
And they might not be things that you encounter in a game on a daily basis, but things that breathe life into a universe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's the idea of the tapestry. That you feel like you see like a small piece of it, but you know that the whole thing's there, and that makes it a lot more rich. Another fun thing, and that's going to be a fun challenge, is writing both sides of this story, because we're going to be following the Protectorate, who are basically roughly analogous to the UN, and then we're also going to be following sort of the more corporate mercenary-ish. Secure Corps, who are going to be in many cases fighting against one another, but you can play either side. So we have to make sure that as you see these two groups, you're going to be able to relate to both of them and understand that there aren't good guys and bad guys here, which is how the world in many cases works. There are just people trying to survive and trying to do what they think is right in the situation that they've been put into, and they have all of their own reasons for why they think that way. And hopefully it could be a really good way to help show people that opposing points of view aren't always bad, and that both sides can have some things right, and we can figure out how to come together. And I think that's gonna be a big message in the story too.
Perfect. Well, listen, we're really excited to have you on board. It was super, interested to see, where the writing takes us. Hopefully we'll get this story out fairly soon so people can actually see it. Once again, it's just being edited now, so it is almost there. The key is just going to be getting enough backers to unlock that and get that distributed. But it's going to be something to see. As far as your Eon 14 writing, where's the best place for people to go to get their hands on these books and check out your writing?
Sure. Well, they can always look for my books on Amazon. You can get them in ebook and in print form there. Just look for MD Cooper. And then my website for all the books is aeon14.com. So it's AEON14.com. And you'll be able to find all my stuff there. And like I said, you'll know when you find me, because there's going to be 81 books with my author name on them. I do co-author some as well, so there's actually some threads that certain co-authors have written and whatnot. So that's something that's kind of I've been doing enough of that. The co-authoring, which is effectively what I'm doing here in Destiny Sword, is something that I'm pretty comfortable with, and I like working in a collaborative environment like that.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for being part of our team. And we're really
Absolutely
excited to see where this adventure takes us.
But thanks.
All right. Thanks, MD. Talk soon. All right. And we've got Andre coming on the line here. Hey, Andre, can you hear us yet?
Hey, hi.
We're just sorting out the technical difficulties. We'll get. There we go. I think we're good. We've got a crazy echo there.
Oh, is it from the room I'm in, or is it the device?
I think it's from the phone. Yeah, we're not sure what's causing it.
Earbuds, Andre?
Let me see if I can turn my volume down. Is that it?
That certainly seems to be better. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yep.
Perfect. Well, there we go. We figured out technology.
All right.
You can tell we make video games for a living, can't you? So we're here. Andre Greenidge is the one of the owners of Heroes World, which is a fantastic comic and game store in Markham. Definitely check that out. We're doing the Kickstarter live stream launch for Destiny's Sword. The link for the Kickstarter is right here. So please, after you've listened to Andre's amazing stuff, go and back us and share that link around. Andre, we just had a chance to sit with you on your show, The Lunchbox, recently. What a fantastic experience that was. Tell us a little bit about that show and what you guys are doing on that.
Well, The Lunchbox is basically a show where like-minded individuals who love pop culture come together, and we're trying to talk about all the cool things from comics, video games, anime, also a lot of cosplay elements, as well as video game stuff, because, hey, if you're a child of this generation and previous generations, video games are such an important part of us growing up, and it's really cool to reach out and do some of the behind the scenes and interview guys like yourself who are making the games and stuff like that, seeing how all that comes together, where the ideas blossom from and stuff. So the Lunchbox was brought together by a friend of mine named Lou, and we're basically like putting the band together and having fun, but going all over the GTA and looking for stories that will resonate with other fans and other nerds like myself.
Oh, you guys are doing a great job. It's just amazing to sort of see the things that are going on in the industry. I mean, it's amazing the developments that we're seeing right now. You talk about some of the most exciting things you're seeing in comics and games right now.
Well, I think right now there is literally no better time to be into genre stuff. Look at what we've got on television. There's so many great superhero shows, sci-fi shows. We've got the return of Jean-Luc Picard coming out. I think Star Trek fans are going to love that. We've got Star Wars coming up. Whether you love it or hate it, the Skywalker saga is coming to an end. But also in gaming, we're seeing a lot of talk with Sony and Microsoft. They're going to be teaming up to bring us some streaming services. We've got Google jumping in. So video games are accessible for everybody. And that, I think this is the first time where we've really seen everybody has access to a game, whether it's on their phone, their tablet, or a console, or the PC and stuff. And I just think it's a fabulous time. I've been gaming for so long, and literally there's a game for everybody, but I think now we're getting into that nuance, and now we're getting into people tackling different social issues for games. And I think that's what instantly drew me towards what you guys are doing with Destiny's Sword, because it's a different way for us to see the effects of certain things that we've taken for granted in games. So, I think this is now the time to do it. The conversation and the dialogue needs to be open. And what better way than to reach people than through a game that's cooperative and an MMO that reaches thousands of people?
Yeah, I mean, the community aspect, bringing that many people together just makes that discussion so powerful, doesn't it? We get that many people talking about things, that's how real change happens. And you've seen that in your store too, that bringing the community together to game together really has a positive effect on the people involved and really helps them kind of, find their inner strength, doesn't it?
For sure. And so for my store, I've been doing it for 18 years. And I got to tell you, one of the best and the unforeseen thing when we opened up the shop, we didn't really focus or understand the positive impact that community can have. But literally over the years, we've had so many different groups of people that meet via the love of a game, whether it's Magic the Gathering, Warhammer, Pokemon, any of the great Star Wars games, or just lovers of comics, and they meet here, whether it's a Friday for Friday Night Magic or Wednesday New Comic Book Day, and the other people that are in the store with them, you instantly have a rapport with them, and it's like talking to an old friend. And we literally, over this time, people look forward to their meeting on a Sunday to play 40K or meeting on a Saturday for a Magic pre-release, and these people have become friends, let alone family. We've seen people get married. We've seen people, have best mans in weddings. We've seen all kinds of cool stuff, and that's the power of having a community center. And I didn't think that would have been something that the store would have done. I never imagined it, but I really love it. And I got to say, I don't look at these as customers and just patrons. These people are my friends. These are people that have my back. If I need them, they're there, and vice versa. So it's not just a store. And I think that's what a good shop can provide, because especially now with the changes to brick and mortar and all the competition of online, that's something that different stores really need to focus on. And I'm glad to be a part of the communities that we foster here at Heroes World, but also, to look to the future and see what else we can do, be it through something like a Lunchbox TV show, or through something like, spreading the word for Destiny's Sword, and for local businesses as well that are impacting the global community.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you're so right that the bonds that we make through gaming and through the community aspects, that when we get together, are just so strong and so rich. I mean, I can't say enough. Every time we go to these big conventions and we show up, and there's like 200,000 or 300,000 people at these things, It's amazing to see what incredible spaces of inclusion and diversity they are. I mean, people can be free to just express themselves in whatever way they want, whether that's cosplay, whether that's, through gender experimentation. I mean, it's just, everybody is accepted there. It's one of the best communities, isn't it? The gaming community in general. We're so open and willing to accept people.
And especially willing to teach people. And that's what I like. I like that competitive but also compassionate gamer, that person that wants to build a community and help people, and again, that cooperative experience. I think that's something that your game's going to do, but again, that's something that I love to see here in the store. I love what you guys are doing, because you didn't just reach out to the video game community. You've gone to a lot of these comic cons, and you've gone to see people that are passionate in their cosplays and stuff like that, and you're really reaching out and hearing what they have to say. Everybody's going to share a story, about a game that's changed them, a game that they've had an positive experience, a game where they've met friends and family. I know in that interview, we talked a lot about our pasts and what games influenced us, stuff like role-playing games, D&D, stuff like BattleTech, MechWarrior, my love for Mass Effect, and like the character-driven social stories, where we actually can make choices to improve our squad mates and stuff. So yeah, I'm so excited to help and to kind of be like a fly on the wall and see what you guys do and see the behind the scenes process. Because as a person that's mostly played games all his life, it's very, very cool to see what goes into it, all the work that you guys are doing, and all the different talent that you've brought together, from the writer that you had on to Jake doing the music to the gaming design. It's such a big project, and I think all the work you guys are doing is so far amazing, and also hitting up different elements. And I think the spread and the kind of scope the Destiny Sword is going to reach is going to be fantastic.
Well, and thank you so much for being a part of it. You're more than a fly on the wall to us. You're one of our family members for sure, and it's just been a great experience. And just that the enthusiasm and support really helps us to keep going for sure. If other people want to come and check out your store, check out your gaming, where can they find you?
Oh, yeah, right on. So we are located in Markham, Ontario. We're on Highway 7 in Warden. The name of the store is Heroes World, and we do all kinds of gaming. So whether you are into Warhammer, be it 40K, Age of Sigmar, into Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Cardfight Vanguard, any game that we do, we support. We've got a big board gaming community. We also love role-playing. We've got a great DM who does sessions here. So anything that's pop culture related, we pretty much do it. We're big comic geeks here too, so join us on a Wednesday or check us out on Facebook. It's Heroes World Online, and we've also got a YouTube channel under that same handle. So we're passionate about what we do, and we love just interacting with all the community and all the people that also love the love. And like I said, we appreciate all our customers and fandom.
Fantastic. And as far as the lunchbox, if people want to catch an episode of that, where's the best place to do that?
Right on. The best place, again, look for the Lunchbox TV, and that is on YouTube as well as Facebook. We've got 2 seasons. Season 1's wrapped up. Season 2's coming to a close, but a great group of people. So please, we're all local. And we'd love to hear feedback, as well as any questions, anything you want to see on that show. We just want to keep making it better and keep kind of servicing the GTA. And who knows, maybe we'll get abroad and get to check out some of the big cons in the States and maybe in Europe. So sky's the limit with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being part of our journey. And thanks for coming on today, Andre. That's awesome.
No problem. All the best to you guys. And I look forward to doing more with you.
Absolutely. All right. Take care. That's Andre Greenidge.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you bet. Bye-bye. Andre Greenidge of Heroes World. And again, we're doing the Kickstarter live stream launch for Destiny's Sword. So the link to the Kickstarter is right down below here. We're going to take a quick breather and get the next guest lined up. So be right back. All right, we're back again. We've got another Spartan veteran with us, Carambine. Tell us a little bit about your role on Spartan and what you've been up to lately.
Well, no, Spartan, what I'm doing with Spartan right now is I'm a national volunteer educator. So we go around, we educate people, we help a lot of veterans. We're also helping a lot of first responders also, and we're helping the veterans with their paperwork as necessary to help them out. When you have mental health and everything like that, it's very hard to focus on paperwork, and there's a lot of paperwork to get the benefits that you might be entitled to. So
Right.
we assist a lot of veterans in helping them with the paperwork and that kind of thing. We also assist with alternative medicine solutions too for them to find a better way out of the opiate-based medications that they might have to take also.
And that's really sort of changed a lot recently, hasn't it? The knowledge that you guys have about some of that has really helped you to undo some of them, because those were pretty damaging, drugs that a lot of these people had to take before, these opiate-based things. And we're learning a lot more about positive strategies.
Exactly, and I can speak for myself. I was on 10 different medications myself, so it makes you feel like a zombie at some points, where you're just sitting on the couch, you're not able to do anything, and once you found some alternative medication solutions, medical cannabis has helped quite a bit for a lot of veterans, a lot of first responders, and it's really helped the mental health and make you more active, able for yourself to get out of the house, do things. Spartan Wellness is we've really helped a lot of veterans, again, the first responders, and it's helped ourselves too to find a purpose, like Devin alluded to before. You're looking for that sense of purpose, and you'll find with a lot of veterans, you might have led by your tool was a rifle when you went as a soldier. Now your tool is to go out and help people in a different way by giving them the support that they may need to get through their mental health challenges that they have now. And that's why, as Spartan, we were really grateful that you asked us to help you, Ken, with some of the aspects of your game, because I think it's going to be a great tool to teach younger people as they're moving through that mental health being the stigma that it is.
Sure.
It's still a stigma out there, and it will help people understand, no, this is not a bad thing, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to support people more about this,
Absolutely. And when you're dealing with your volunteers, what sort of, how do you prepare them? Like, what sort of strategies do they use to help people?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that all our volunteers are veterans themselves, and the volunteers, they're suffering from their own injuries. And they know how to deal with people, and they can relate to that themselves.
Right.
So helping people is easy for them, and then we also we run training to in certain aspects of how we like them to deal with certain patients that come to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you find are some of the most effective methods to reach out? What are some of the things that you like to do to help engage people that you're trying to reach out to? Yeah,
I mean, we run peer support. We have one of our co-founder veterans. He's running a yoga, every month, and that seems to get people, veterans and first responders, anybody else looking to get out and do certain things. I mean, peer support, we don't want to gather a bunch of veterans or first responders together and have them talk about their problems. It's more or less like, what people want to do is they want to go out and gather together, socialize, play some pool, throw some darts, that kind of thing. They don't want to sit around talking about the different things they got going on. They want to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get out and socialize.
And do you find that things are becoming a little easier to talk about mental health and issues like that now than they would have been? Do you find that generally we're getting to be more willing to talk about those issues, or is it still a struggle to get people to talk about that?
It's coming around, and it's a lot better over the last few years, but I still believe that stigma is still out there, and you can still see it, and there are a lot of people struggling to come out with that, you know what I mean? And they don't want to show that sign of weakness as they may perceive it in their minds, right? And that's that to me has got to stop. I mean, we really got to, and it's like, I believe it was Dr. B, or even my brother Riyad has alluded to before, also saying that, it's like any other injury. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that person's not injured, right?
Exactly.
So you have to, not look at people that way. Well, you don't look injured, so you're not injured. You know what I mean? And
well, and you're right, and it was Dr. B that was also saying that that it's really important that we get across that not all mental health issues are major psychotic breaks, or that people who suffer from mental health aren't all dangerous or unstable. That a lot of times it's dealing with a bit of anxiety, or dealing with some sort of issues that don't define us, but are things that they affect our lives and how we communicate with people, and we have to take those into account.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, we're so excited to have you guys on board. I mean, it's you've been an amazing resource for us, helping us, understand, what the sort of things you do deal with, and how you guys go about dealing with them and recovering from them. But and it's just been so neat to see the reinforcement of the fact, that message that really community is the number one starting point. That having a group of people that you can rely on, who support each other and care about each other, and keep a check on each other, and I thought that was one of the neat things. I think I was talking with Riyadh before about it, was that generally people are so in tune with wanting to help others, but so reticent necessarily to help themselves. So sometimes it's flipping it on the head and saying, to get somebody out of the house is asking them to go check on their buddy, because now they're doing it for their buddy instead of for themselves.
And we mention that to all our volunteers, and even ourselves. Sometimes we have to mention, okay, well, if you need to take time to yourself to make sure you're doing okay, we want you to mention that, so that then you're not suffering as well, right? So take the time that you need, take a break, and then come back to it when you're ready, right? And that's
awesome.
That's how. Well, yeah.
Well, listen, thanks so much for being part of the team, and we're glad to have you on board. This is exciting. We're seeing it all come together, and I can't wait. We've had the game in your guys' hands a few times on the way with the prototypes, but the more we get it to sort of the full picture, the more your guys are able to sort of see where we're going with it. And
it's been excellent, Ken, and again, we thank you for making us part of this game, because it's really good. I'm looking forward to it when it comes out.
Well, we're the ones that are thankful, but thank you so much for joining us, Karam, and that's awesome. All right, we'll take another quick break, and we'll see where the next guest is at, and we'll be right back. we're back again, and this is our Kickstarter launch live stream. So this is the URL here. That you go click on this, and you'll be able to help us back the game.
I always wanted to click the link below.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I'm back with another Spartan veteran, JC. Yeah, great to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
You were a medic in the forces, weren't you?
I was, yes.
So you have sort of a unique perspective because, you know, obviously the recovery process and the medical process is such a big part of this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it was really neat when we brought a script to you. You were able to, we had a script for one of the PAX East playable characters in our Insight Engine demo, and this was a character who was suffering with the overwhelming suffering that they were seeing.
Yeah.
But at the same point, you know, we as the commanding officer had to sort of help guide this character through, and you had a unique insight because you'd been on both sides of that, haven't you?
Exactly, and that's what reading that script. I remember telling you that it actually started triggering me because I was on both sides. I was the guy who, you know, couldn't concentrate, couldn't perform, but I was also as I grew and I was able to. You know, get through a lot of my problems. I was promoted, and then I became the guy who, you know, was the leader. And then at that point, you start to, you know, you have to decide, how to help, you know, some of your peers, some of your troops as they go through hard times. And it's not easy. It really isn't, because you don't know. You know, you just want to say suck up and move on, but you've actually been through it. So I think, you know, being through it and being through a lot of hard times, you see it from a different perspective, and that really makes a difference on how you can help your troops through stuff.
Do you think what we see in the video games can have some help in helping people to kind of bridge some of that gap? I mean, obviously it's never going to be, and it's really important that people don't think they've been through experiences because they've seen things in games or in entertainment. But do you think the more we sort of represent, you know, the struggles, the difficulty of dealing with trauma of any sort, whether it's civilian or military, and the sort of strategies that we're trying to help people learn about communicating with people who are suffering, do you think that helps us in the long run?
Absolutely. So education is key, right? You've asked a few people, you know, what you would say to the civilian population, you know, being a veteran, and I've been thinking about that while sitting there watching these guys, and education is one of the biggest keys, because as Karen may have alluded to a little bit earlier, people don't know what you're going through. You really don't know when this car blows by you and you want to rage, and you don't know that maybe they have a sick kid at home or something like that. It's you know, it's something that it's an invisible wound, and it's hard to you know, sometimes portray. So for myself, you know, I've been I think it was Scott who mentioned that there's not a lot of people that hang out in the basement anymore. I'm gonna have to say I was one of those people, and I know a lot of veterans that still do today. They're still hanging out in the basement because they want to just, you know, be away from everything. They want to seclude themselves, and that's with PTSD. That's a big component to try and get away from everyone, so you can just be left alone. And that may be playing a video game in the basement, or maybe just watching the TV without even turning it on.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So.
And is that something that you guys as a group, you're trying to re-engage those people? That's
huge. So Spartan Wellness, it's for us trying to help people. So it was a big learning curve for me. So when I first got out of the military, I spent almost 27 years in, and it was a big brother and sisterhood. And then I got out, and I knew I was sick when I got out, but I didn't have anything to go to. I had a job that I went to, but I was lacking that brother/sisterhood. And then when I heard about Spartan Wellness, I jumped at the chance. The moment I talked to Riyadh, it was like, "Oh, do you have a job for a medical guy?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely. Bring me on." So waking up and actually being able to help people like we do, it made a huge difference for me, and that's where I started my healing process. I'm still struggling. I still struggle from day to day, but being able to help people definitely helps me through the day. Yeah,
for sure. And you know, I mean, talk to me a bit about, you know, what that process is when you reach out and engage people. What are your key goals there? What are your solutions like in terms of trying to get them to open up? And
Right. So I think listening is the biggest part for us. So there's a thing called war porn where, you know, you don't really want to start engaging and talking about what you did overseas or the case may be, and that goes back and forth. So you got to stay within your lane, and you don't want to trigger the person that you're talking to. So the goal is to let them vent, but also let them know what helped you. So you're not actually telling them to do something, but it just, you know, this is what helped me, and it may help you. If you're not being seen by anyone, maybe you need to go get seen. You know, there's just little things to start, but listening is the biggest part, because some people need to vent, and sometimes when you've been in the military and you've heard a lot of bad stuff, it's okay to let them vent on you, and it doesn't hurt your feelings.
Sure.
You just let it slough it off, and hopefully guide them the right way.
And is that something like, is it often, sometimes is there a danger there that when you're dealing with people and sort of helping them through their trauma, does it ever cause issues with yourself?
Absolutely, it's easily triggering, and that's why when I talk about, you know, you try and keep them on a more positive approach, and maybe talk about ways that things have helped yourself, and ask them, you know, what's helped you, right? So it kind of just keeps away from the negative. You're not letting the negative go, but you're keeping it as positive as you can. So, but absolutely, there's going to be people there that will absolutely trigger you, and you just need to know to be ready. And a lot of us guys and girls at Spartan Wellness, we make sure that we still take care of ourselves. So that's a big priority. Is you know, keep going to your appointments, keep taking care of yourselves. If you need to take your medicine, take your medicine, but always take care of yourself first, because you won't be able to help anyone if you can't take care of yourself.
And we've talked a bit about that, you know, sort of, you know, that kind of, you know, looking after yourself, taking the time. What are some of the ways that you guys, you know, use to build your resilience, to sort of, you know, obviously we've talked to a few of the gentlemen, physical activity, be it arm wrestling, be it pretending to golf like Riyadh does, you know, chasing balls through forests and in long grass, but...
Well, I think you've nailed a lot of them on the head for myself anyway, but it's getting out. Because no matter what you do, get out of the house. It seems to... The only problem with that is so many people get triggered by just going out and someone cutting them off.
Right.
And that's why, you know, I was a road rager. My wife will tell you that I still am. However, I'm not as bad as I was, because I will, you know, if someone does something that pisses me off, I'll just, you know, go through the process. Okay, maybe they have something in their lives going on that, you know, they're having trouble dealing with. So that's the way I approach it, and it's been working for me, and I hope I do tell other people that, but by no means am I a clinician or there to you know, I'm just there to kind of help people and let them vent on me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And do you think that the sort of the awareness that seems to be building in society, do you think that's making the process easier? Is it easier to talk about these things than it has been? Yeah,
so we've heard about the stigma from pretty much everyone that's come on and talked to you today. Absolutely, the stigma's still there. I find it's in the veteran community, it's not as bad, because we're opening up a lot.
Good.
We have been, but there's still, when you're that guy that has to make that walk to the psychologist's office, that's a really hard walk. It's a really hard walk. And for someone there as a friend, and you're talking, you go, hey, something off about you, you're not who you used to be, and maybe you should take that walk, and I'll walk with you. You know, because I've been there, I went through it. So to have someone there to support is a pretty big deal.
Perfect. And that's such a big part of all of it, as we've seen, is the community. So I mean, awesome stuff, and thank you for being part of our team. I mean, it just means so much to us to have you guys, you know, contributing and helping us to get this right.
It's an honor. It really is an honor, because I've noticed this is not, this is a different game. This is really, you have to think and you have to make right choices. And if you don't, you're going to go down the wrong path, and it shows. So I really appreciate the game, and it's going to be awesome when it comes out.
Well, thank you so much, JC, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you as part of the team, and we're excited to see where working together takes us.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
You bet. All right, thanks guys. We got another guest that we're just going to queue up.
Click the link below.
Yeah, click the link. Thank you very much. This is our Kickstarter live stream, and we'll be right back with our next guest.
Thanks.
All right, we're back with Average Joe of the St. 14 and Guardians project. Average, we've been on a couple of your podcasts a few times. You guys are just a fantastic group of guys. Tell us a little bit about the St. 14 project and Project Guardians and what it is that you're trying to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the kind words. I mean, we look forward to you coming on and interacting with everybody at the team every time. I mean, it's just wonderful. But the St. 14 Project podcast is a fusion between mental health and gaming podcast. So we focus on every single episode. We have some of our mental health professionals that come on with us, and we talk about different mental health topics and illnesses, and try and educate people a little bit more and bring more awareness to the different spectrums of mental health. But also with being in the gaming community, we also talk about gaming news and various other things. Ken, you were it was so great having you on. The last episode, you got to dive into Destiny's story a little bit more, tell us a little bit more, and all the listeners and everybody what you guys have been working on. I got to see hands-on at PAX East, and that was absolutely fantastic. And Project Guardians is the parent part of the project. And what that is, we have advocates, mental health professionals, and entire teams put together to create safe environments to.
Oh, I think we've just dropped the call with Joe. We got you back here. We got you back. We just lost you for.
Yep. Yeah, I got a phone call coming in.
Oh.
I'm telling you. But no, Project Guardians is a mental health awareness and support organization that we created 2 years ago. Our focus is in the gaming community, and we aim to just bring awareness and educate and support networks to people in the gaming community to let everybody know that it's okay not to be okay and that they're not alone. And there are safe spaces to feel free to open up and relax, and to also get information and talk to mental health professionals within the Discord servers and other channels to get in contact with us. And we also have a website that you can get more mental health and gaming focused articles, resources, tools to find therapists and professionals near you. So we really try to aim to bring as much awareness and support to everybody in the gaming community through that. And the podcast is just one outlet for it.
Awesome. And that is a fantastic resource. Where can people find that information for you guys?
You can find it at projectguardians.org, and you can also find that at Twitter and all the socials at Project Guardians, and the podcast and all the Discord servers and channels to get in touch with us and the mental health professionals on our team is right there pinned at the top of the Twitter feeds.
Fantastic. And I mean, it's really neat. I mean, it's the gaming community is such a positive group, a group that really pulls together for stuff that matters. And you guys are a great example of that. You do some amazing work. You do a lot of fundraisers. Is it St. Jude's is the one you guys normally raise for?
Our focus every year is St. Jude's is one of them, and that's coming up this next month in June to help support them and all the wonderful things they do for families and children. And we also do several other streams throughout the year supporting other mental health organizations that have an impact in the gaming community.
And games, I mean, it's amazing how much it is a community that does pull together. What is it about gaming that you think really sort of makes us, a community that are so inclusive and so open to helping each other?
I think it's just the shared passion a lot of people share with gaming. It's a relatable topic and a relatable activity that people feel more comfortable interacting in that format than they would say to eye to eye. Some people find it, and we found they find it easier to interact with people through voice or text, through games and various other channels than they would eye to eye with somebody. So I really think it's just that shared passion and just the reduce in stress and anxiety to, have that opportunity to open up to people that, do understand.
Awesome. Well, listen, I mean, we've got we're almost at the end. We're at 2:00 now. We're going to do some bonus coverage. We want to wrap up with Riyadh, one of our veterans here. But thanks so much, Joe, for coming on the podcast, our live stream, and thanks so much for all the great work you guys are doing, for sure. It's definitely something we should all be checking out, St. 14 podcast and the Project Guardians, because they do some amazing work.
Thank you so much for having me on, and congratulations on the Kickstarter and everything. When I get home today, I am aiming for that art book and the music. It's absolutely fantastic. I love all the rewards and, perks, and I'm so excited for today for you guys, and I can't wait for the future.
Well, we just thank you so much for being a part of it and a part of the team, part of the community, and your encouragement and support has meant everything while we go through the development process. So thank you again, and we wish you all the best. We'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You bet. Bye-bye, Joe. Awesome. And so, Riyadh is one of our Spartan veterans and one of the founders of Spartan Wellness. And it was actually, Riyadh that we first came together, when we started working on this project. What has it meant to you to sort of be part of this process and to watch it as it came from an idea through to where it is now and hopefully where it'll be in another year?
Yeah, Ken, first of all, thank you for allowing Spartan to be part of this team. It's meant a lot to us because we see the value of spreading the knowledge that, mental health is a serious topic, but it's not a game ender either, right? And we can all learn and grow together and do it. But, it was a mutual friend. You and I, we connected, you told me the story, and I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. And it's been a great friendship since, and our whole team is excited about it. We get a lot of feedback from our patient base and our supporters, and there's a lot of anxious eyes that are really excited to see this type of direction in the games for sure, yeah.
And you guys, you've all played a lot of games in your past. You tell us that you started off on Frogger and kind of dates you a little bit, but that's okay because I started off on Pong,
Well, growing up, my mom really liked asteroids, so I had to watch, right? So I got stuck playing Frogger. Yeah, my first game was an Atari, and then, I like my fight 'em, shoot 'em up games just like anybody else. I'm not a huge gamer. I'm learning it with my daughters on this, I say fourth night a lot of times, but it's Fortnite. Gaming is a big part of recreation. It's also a big part of stimulation. It's a big part of people's lives. And as us older generation grow, we need to learn and accept that is part of it. And what better way to stimulate the thought process of a younger generation so that when they do rise up and if they choose to serve Canada or serve Canadians in whatever facet it is, either being a soldier or a police officer or a first responder, they're going to have that removed stigma right off the bat. And as leadership gets to experience this kind of stuff as well, it's really going to make a difference overall for everybody, and it's great that we have leaders like you that are pushing the envelope to make sure that happens.
And do you see that? Are you hopeful at the moment? Do you feel like the environment is changing for the better? That it's making it easier for people to talk about, recover, share stories of mental illness and suffering?
Unfortunately, we're still in the stage where things bad have to happen before we talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's changing. At Spartan Wellness, our goal is just to reach out to as many people as we can. But a lot of times, we have to remember that there's still a lot of people who don't want to talk about their issues.
Yeah.
And we have to respect that, right? But the biggest message we can always say is, it doesn't define you, like the doc said, and it's part of life. It's an injury, and if you treat it like an injury, then you know that it may never heal 100%, right? You have a new normal, but as long as you make a conscious effort to try to heal, you will get better. And there's no other way better to heal than community and recovery. And like I said, your game is all about that.
For sure.
And it creates conversation.
Yes.
And once conversation happens, then you become a lot, you don't feel as bad talking about your situation because you're realizing that everybody has the same sort of stresses and things that go on in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you actually got your hands on at PAX East. You've seen sort of one of the more recent builds. And tell us a bit about your experience, because you had some fun there. You started busting the butt of one of the characters and enjoying that process.
Yeah, listen, first of all, that was like the biggest thing I've ever seen. Okay, it was huge. There's so many people there. But yeah, getting down into the game and everything, and then, we're across the table. We're like, hey, come on, let's go, back me up, And then, but what was really cool is the engagement after with your troops as a commander.
Yeah.
And it touched me a bit too, because I'm going through that myself with my post-traumatic injuries and my physical injuries and stuff. I found a lot of solution with alcohol and those opiates by abusing them a bit.
Right.
And since I've gone to the medical cannabis, it's completely changed my life. But it really, you're engaging with the character, and your goal is to get the mission, right? And the only way you're going to succeed in a mission is to engage with that character and help them get through what's holding them back. And you've done really well, actually, just with the facial expressions and stuff, because those are common facial expressions we would see amongst ourselves.
Right.
You know, that sort of bewilderment, or that sort of, you know, you duck your eyes down or you look away because you don't really want to admit to what's really deep inside you, right? So as a commander, it's important to understand that. So, you know, I think a game like this could definitely be used as sort of a leadership tool for people that might be interested in that avenue, and the engine you're building is really cool. So I'm pumped, and PAX was it was awesome. That Facebook thing they had there, that game Facebook thing, but what blew my mind was all these people in different costumes and everything, and then I was like, oh, I know that. Oh, well, yeah, I remember that. So, you know, it was pretty cool, and it's beautiful that all these people from so many different types of backgrounds and everything are all under one roof and just enjoying gaming, and smiles. I couldn't believe how many smiles there were with everybody. You know, I mean, it was awesome.
Absolutely, and well, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? For all of us, is putting together a strong team and being part of the community. So thank you so much for being part of our team. We're really excited to have you guys on board, and like I said, I can't say enough about how invaluable your support and your encouragement has been along the way. So thank you all guys for coming down.
Thank you.
And being part of this.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, you go.
Well, I just want to make a shout out. You know, if you get the opportunity, follow this game. To all our patients who might be watching, or all our Spartan Wellness followers, it's definitely worth the look. And we're in this together. You know, great things do happen together, and Spartan Wellness is here to support you with all your medical cannabis needs, as well as any kind of service and support. And as we roll out our transitional medicine, we're there to support the veterans and stuff that are leaving the military as well. So check us out, www.spartanwellness.ca. I've done my CEO pitch, but thanks,
Awesome.
Ben.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for being part of our community. Thank you for already starting to get that ticker up on the backer count. We'll get there, and we'll get some of the exciting stretch goals and neat rewards that we have in store for you guys out there, as that count goes up. So thank you so much for being part of the journey. Again, this is the URL here if you want to back the project. We appreciate the help, and even if you can't back, just helping us spread the word by sharing that with all your friends, pointing them at our social media, our website, whether it's destinysword.com or the media's social media, all Destiny Sword. Just follow along with us, be part of that discussion. We want to develop the game collaboratively with you, and we also want to raise awareness of mental health collaboratively. We want to bring everybody together as a community, because great things happen together. That's what it's all about.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you for being with us. We're going to cut the live stream. We're glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for coming along with our ride, and we've got some exciting things coming up in the future. But what I want to do before we finish, we're going to bring all the behind the scenes people here. Come on, Spartan veterans, you can come on in here too. So this is the team that made this happen. These sort of things don't just happen on their own. So thank you everybody for being part of this. We might have to. That's somebody that's out there. Drag the camera back. So it doesn't matter.
No,
we can all see.
Squish in.
We can all see. Squishing faces in. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Great job. Nice job.
Done.
We're done.